I'm just like trying to practice standing still.
Gina.
How are you?
Good.
I have my notes up there in a minute, huh?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Doing my best.
Is everybody in there having a mission? Yes. Okay. Oh, thank you.
We ready? Not. Is the free press here?
Free press is here.
Okay. All right, team, I want you to come on up here too. I want to fill in over here. You can fill in over here some too. Y'all kind of heavy on this side. Y'all go on that side. Balance. Balance. Before you start rolling, thank you all. Thank you all for coming. We are so pleased to make this announcement today. We appreciate your interest in this partnership that we will announce today, that we are all looking forward to really make an impact on the citizens in the Eastern District and particularly in the city of Detroit. So we appreciate your interest. So thank you so much. And with that, everybody ready? Everybody ready? Okay. All right. Let me know when you're ready. Okay. All right. Good morning. Welcome. And again, thank you for your interest. I stand here with our partners. Our partners, I will say, in crime, in all things, to improve the quality of life for the citizens in the Eastern District of Michigan, and particularly today to announce the One Detroit partnership. But let me start with this. This has been a collaboration that has been going on for a long time, that we have been putting all the effort into reducing violent crime in this area, and we will not stop. We will not stop trying to reduce crime and improve the quality of life for the citizens in this district, and particularly in our largest city, the city of Detroit. This strategy is called the One Eastern District of Michigan Violence Reduction Partnership. And we have been using many of the enforcement strategies that I will discuss today, and we have already seen significant results in some of our smaller cities like Pontiac, Jackson, Saginaw, and Flint. In those areas, non-fatal shootings are down by more than 50% in each of those areas. This One EDMI, Eastern District of Michigan strategy, is designed to identify evidence-based strategies that have proven effective in reducing crime and bringing together all of the stakeholders necessary to implement those strategies. And although today's announcement is to introduce the executive team of the One Detroit partnership, we will be forming and announcing executive teams and customized strategies in other areas that I just mentioned. One Saginaw, One Flint, One Jackson, One Indian Country, etc. And each team will be customized for the geographic subgroups of the One EDMI Violence Reduction Partnership. We will be transparent about our work and determine the impact of the work on the community perceptions and of trust and legitimacy through help from our research partner, Michigan State University, specifically Professor Krister Meldon, professor and director of the School of Criminal Justice, who could not be here today due to an unexpected death in his family, and our thoughts and prayers are with him. We will measure and report on statistics crime statistics, and we will monitor how affected neighborhoods are experiencing interventions, whether partnerships are working, and whether resources are being effectively utilized. So with that, I am pleased to announce the One Detroit Partnership. At its core, One Detroit is about partnership between the community, law enforcement, and the government. By working together, sharing information, and aligning our efforts, we will reduce violence in the city, work towards a future where if violence sparks in a neighborhood, law enforcement will focus on those who are driving the actual violence, but will share information and coordinate efforts directly with community partners to immediately disrupt cycles of violence through deterrence and prevention strategies. One Detroit is again designed to identify evidence-based strategies that have proven effective in reducing violence and bring together all of the stakeholders necessary to implement strategies. The goal is to balance law enforcement with prevention and outreach for the violence reduction process to be guided by the principles of focus, balance, and fairness. Many of these pieces already exist in Detroit. Local, state, and federal law enforcement already work very well together and share information. Our goal is not to reinvent the wheel, but rather to identify what works and build a framework to formalize our participation. One Detroit is led by an executive team, which is represented up here today. The One Detroit executive team is comprised of a broad array of community stakeholders, local, state, and federal law enforcement officials, prosecutors, and as I mentioned, our research partner from Michigan State. The principles of the One Detroit Violence Reduction Partnership is enforcement, prevention and intervention, and reentry. On the enforcement note, through One Detroit, we are setting strategic enforcement priorities, focusing our efforts on those most likely to engage in violent crime. Federal, state, and local law enforcement partners, as well as impacted communities, are working together to focus our law enforcement efforts on addressing the small number of individuals and groups driving up violent crime in our neighborhoods. The focus is on reducing the level of violent crime, not simply increasing arrests or cases as if those were the ends in themselves. This strategic approach may not result in an increase of the raw numbers of arrests, but it will better protect public safety consistent with our values, the true measure of success. Meaningful law enforcement engagement with and accountability to the community are the essential underpinnings of this partnership. Accordingly, building trust and earning legitimacy in the communities that we serve is the foundation on which this strategy is built. On the prevention and intervention pillar, violent crime is not a problem that can be solved by law enforcement alone. One Detroit partners have committed to invest in community-based violence reduction, prevention, and intervention programs that will keep violence from happening before it occurs. Law enforcement partners have a more limited role, but are committed to connecting prevention partners with subject matter experts and training and technical assistance providers, and facilitating and hosting focused discussion around violence prevention and/or intervention. Law enforcement is also sharing its strategies and data directly with the communities. We know we can't do it alone. We have so many people doing great work, but we were operating in silos. The purpose of the partnership of One Detroit is to bring everybody together through connections so that we can easily serve all those we need to serve and prevent others from engaging in violent crime. Our prevention strategy includes a number of things. Some of it includes strategy for school intervention and planning for the next year. We will be bringing, for example, Project LEAD to the district, and it is a 20-week effective law-related education program that targets fifth graders. It is evidence-based. The results have been studied and proven to be positive results. Thank you. And they teach fifth graders about the criminal justice system and the importance of making a good decision. Some of our assistant United States attorneys in this office will serve as teachers for that. And the research shows that this program produces positive studies showing that fifth graders who complete it have a better appreciation for the law, the importance of education, and the benefits of making the right life choices. We are also finalizing other programs for our schools so that we can show kids that they can be what they want to be. In addition to that, we have Black Family Development. Their efforts will also support this violence reduction strategy. We have faith-based community efforts here represented. We have the City of Detroit, crime prevention through environmental design. And of course, we have our focused deterrence partner of Ceasefire. In addition to that, we do have folks that are returning citizens, and this strategy also includes them. Our pillars, again, are enforcement, prevention and intervention, and reentry. Our approach on our anti-violence work with a deeper recognition of the collateral impact that often accompanies aggressive law enforcement. One of our priorities is assisting returning citizens to transition peacefully to the community. To aid that transition, One Detroit Partnership will emphasize prisoner reentry programs that involve the community and aim to connect returning citizens to resources that help them overcome barriers like low employment, lack of health care, limited education, homelessness, and much more. And we have our representation from the Michigan Department of Corrections to assist us with that pillar of this partnership. This also includes partnering with returning citizens who are influencers in the community in our anti-violence efforts. We have already begun that work. We have a great crew of returning citizens who have worked with us to be influencers, help to share their circumstances, and also to quell violence in the community. We are proud of the work we're doing with our returning citizens. And for those who want to take advantage of their second chance, here's your opportunity. But if you choose to, again, do something else, we are ready to take that opportunity to address that as well. This partnership is a partnership that is strong, but it is also about representing to the community the opportunity to make choices. And the choice you make will determine how we respond. We will stop the violence in this community. We will stop it, and we won't stop trying to stop it. But if you make a different choice, we will also give you an opportunity to have a chance, to take advantage of a second chance or start a new chance and change the course of your life. We are ready to do that. And so I'm going to turn it over to a couple of our other partners here. I look forward to telling you about some of our upcoming events, about our pledge, our peace pledge, to take the pledge and join this partnership, because we're asking the community to accept the responsibilities for yourself. Accept the responsibility for yourself to improve the quality of your own life. And we're right there and ready to support you. And right now, I'd like to call on one of those community members right now, Mr. Alvin Stokes, the president of the Statewide Community Relations Council. And we're so proud to have him as a partner. Mr. Stokes.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. To the partners here in One Detroit, my name is Alvin Stokes. I am the president of Citywide Citizens Police Community Relations. And our job as the community is to organize our block clubs and associations to make our neighborhoods safe for a place to work, worship, and live. We've been doing this job for a long time. Citywide started in '68. I've been doing it over 30 years now, and this is my passion. My passion is community. And when the U.S. Attorney came to us and asked us to be a part of this, we were there with open arms. Enough is enough, folks. When I grew up, we had a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I'm here to tell you that it still takes a village to raise a child. We're all responsible for what happens here in the city of Detroit. And as a community leader, we look forward to working with these partners behind us and making this city a great place to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stokes. I think you're next up? Are you next? Are you next? All right. And now please welcome Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy, another one of our valued partners in this partnership.
Good morning. You are definitely going to hear some familiar themes that you've heard before, and that's really what happens when you have some like-minded people working together on a project collaboratively. We live in very dangerous times, not just here, but everywhere across the world. This is just an unfortunate and very true fact. None of us are immune to it. None of us can create the problem and fix the problem ourselves. It takes a village to raise a child is an often used proverb that specifically means that an entire community of people must provide and interact positively with children in order for those children to experience and grow in a safe and healthy environment. Let me just say that's what we have here. Every sector of our community is united for this common goal, making it safe for everyone. We all know that gun violence has replaced auto accidents as the #1 killer of our children. We want to work every single day to make that an untrue fact in the city of Detroit. We have our work cut out for us. It will be hard, it will be challenging, and it'll be all-encompassing. But this group, like no other, can do it. We are committed and we're ready to stare this issue down for everyone.
Thank you so much, Madam Prosecutor. And then now we'll call up the City of Detroit Mayor, Mayor Duggan.
Well, I want to thank U.S. Attorney Dawn Eisen for pulling this group together. And while the timing couldn't be more appropriate in light of what we saw this weekend, this plan didn't start yesterday. The U.S. Attorney has had this group working together for months to roll out this plan. And we are very fortunate for the resources that we have here. Across the country, we're seeing the rise in illegal weapons, the rise in gun violence. But in many cases, you don't see the federal government and the U.S. Attorney take a direct interest in local gun crime. We have a U.S. Attorney here who has a deep personal interest in helping us, and with the help of the FBI, the ATF, the DEA, and the federal agencies, we have support on the law enforcement side. When you do see the U.S. Attorney engage, you very rarely see it come with an emphasis on prevention. And what is remarkable here is there is just as much focus in what the U.S. Attorney has rolled out on the prevention side as there is in enforcement. And the rarest thing of all in this country is to see the federal government, the state government, the county prosecutor, the city police, and the private activist groups all working together on a single strategy. And that's what's being accomplished here. This weekend, you saw law enforcement at its best. You had 6 shootings on the Riverwalk in downtown. The Detroit police promptly arrested shooters in all 6 cases. Prosecutor Worthy is promptly prosecuting shooters in all 6 cases. Many of those individuals are looking at a long time being incarcerated. There is a time that would have been celebrated as excellent law enforcement work. Nobody up here is celebrating what happened this weekend. It doesn't help the victims that the law enforcement is working afterwards. We have more individuals carrying illegal weapons, more young people in this country than we've ever seen. And here's the truth. The point at which somebody sticks an illegal weapon under their belt and heads out of the house, we've lost. We're seeing beefs turn into shootings over and over. And the focus here is to have a message to say this. We're going to engage in all kinds of prevention efforts, but for those who do choose to do it, law enforcement is aligned together. We're trying to change the decision making. We're trying to say nobody up here wants to arrest or prosecute anybody, but we need people to leave the illegal weapons at home, and you'll see as the course of the summer whether all of us working together can have an impact. But I'm very hopeful on the announcement and the very impressive team up here today, and thank you, Madam U.S. Attorney, for taking the initiative to lead this effort.
This is about community, and we're asking the community to take on the responsibility as well in this case. And so we're very excited about this partnership, but we're very excited about the opportunity for others to join in this effort. And so with that, we asking the preachers, we asking everybody else too. So we have faith-based leadership here, and we know that Bishop Van is one that's been around for a long time, and he's going to help lead us in that effort. Bishop Van.
Thank you so much, U.S. Attorney, and to all of the partners that are here. The unconscionable surge of senseless violence in Detroit has left many communities shattered, families torn apart with sorrow and grief, and of course, innocent bloodshed and lives lost. The frequency of these brutal incidents is staggering, and the toll that they take upon our city is immeasurable. We cannot and will not accept violence, senseless violence, as a norm in our city. One Detroit is a powerful collaboration of government, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the branches of law enforcement agencies, community activists and stakeholders, and the faith community, and the latest cutting-edge technology. But here's something else as well that I believe is so much a part of this effort. It is us sending a strong message and creating a movement that targets and reaches heads and hearts. We have to understand that a mindset has to change in our city for all of this to work. Think before you act. Don't do something temporarily unwise that will bring you permanent consequences. It's not worth it, and it makes no sense. We've come together to stop the violence, to increase the peace. We are One Detroit.
Nobody can really do it like a preacher can. I mean, right. Nobody can really do it like a preacher can. But again, I would like to call up the chief of Detroit Police, who has just been such a valued partner in this since the beginning. And we have just been collaborating in a way, and we are aligned in thought that we are both committed to enforcement, but we're also committed to prevention and focused deterrence. And so I'm very proud to have his partnership and value it much. So Chief White.
Thank you very, very much, and you're correct, following Bishop Van is very difficult to do. But you're going to hear a common theme, but I want to start with thanking you, U.S. Attorney Eisen, for your leadership, your passion, being a daughter of Detroit, and understanding what is happening in our community. This effort, though we have been working on it for quite a while now, could not come at a better time. As the mayor talked about, we know what happened this weekend. We know the violence upticks that we have seen. And to see the work here, this group, I could not be more excited for our community to have the opportunity to live safer, to be in an environment that is free of gun violence and impulse decision making. We know that crime has a lot of different factors that go into it, but we're seeing an uptick right now in just impulse decision making, irresponsible gun ownership. And people finding their way to illegal weapons in our community and making those horrible decisions quickly that are following them for the rest of their lives, and not only ending the lives of our young people, but ending their lives because they are facing significant jail time, and their families are losing their loved ones as well by them being incarcerated. One of the most powerful aspects of this process and this program is decision making, right? It's giving you the opportunity to do something different. There are a number of different pillars that you've heard about today. But if you choose to pick up a gun and make a poor decision, there's another pillar, and that's the enforcement pillar. And we're all committed to that enforcement pillar. We hope not to have to use it, but we will. We stand in solidarity to keep our community safe. We know that together we're stronger. We can be one powerful Detroit. This violence does not represent the people that work very hard in our community. In downtown last week, we talked about the 6 incidents and the subsequent arrests, but there were hundreds and thousands of people who enjoyed our community without incident. But we're not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about the folks who made a horrible decision to victimize our community. And today, I'm just so proud to stand here with the opportunity to assist in bringing some of this violence to an end. So again, I thank all of you, I thank our partnerships, and I thank you for this collaboration.
Again, what makes this different, we're not soft on crime, we're smarter on crime, better on crime, because the more crime we prevent, the safer we are too. And we are prepared to enforce crime, but we are also committed to trying to prevent it. And so we have with us today on that note is Kenyatta Stevens, Chief Executive Officer for Black Family Development, one of our other One Detroit executive team partners. Ms. Stevens.
Thank you, U.S. Attorney Isom. It is a pleasure to be here representing two of the pillars of the One Detroit Collaborative. Black Family Development, as a 45-year-old human service organization focused on children and families and making a difference in this community, is committed to provide both prevention and reentry options. All of us know that crime hurts. It hurts children, it hurts families, but crime is also preventable with wise decision making. And so our hope is that by providing resources, whether they be food, clothing, boys and young men of color services, mental health and substance abuse services, mobile health services, that we may be able to help avert crime for those who move under the prevention arm of this work. For those who have made choices and are moving in the reentry direction or coming back to our society, we also want to lend an arm of support for resources that may make it easier to make decisions for hope and decisions to make wise choices, because resources are available to assist. And so it is with that that we are proud to represent this collaborative with prevention as well as reentry resources, making a difference in this One Detroit. Thank you.
I will continue to emphasize this is a partnership in a real way, a tangible way. This is not the U.S. Attorney leading, U.S. Attorney's Office leading each of these pillars. We lead the enforcement, but the City of Detroit leads the prevention and intervention. And where's Bev Smith? Where is she? Hiding back here. Deputy Director of Michigan Department of Corrections, Beverly Smith, leads our reentry. We are bringing the subject matter experts under the different pillars to bring us the strategies so that we can fully execute them. And I stand here to tell you today, we are ready. We are ready to execute those strategies. And I just want to say, to build on what Ms. Stevens just said as far as reentry, I believe in second chances. And this is an opportunity for you to take advantage of your second chance for those who are returning citizens. And so, just so you know, we are going to have a reentry symposium next week at Wayne State University on April 26th. And we're so happy to get opening remarks from the assistant coach for the Detroit Pistons, Jerome Allen, will be making opening remarks and talking about his second chance. So we believe in second chances, and so we hope to see you there. But for those returning citizens who want to take advantage of it, we are here. But if you don't, for example, about one of the individuals who was in Greektown this weekend, shooting, who just happened to be on supervised release and with a gun, we have already filed a violation against him has already been filed. So the choice is yours. The choice is yours. We're ready to execute whatever strategy we need depending on your choice. And I'm here to tell you, make the right choice. We don't want to do it, but we will. Make the right choice. We're also going to be having a number of other events, and this is long term. This is not, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. We again will have our Peaceniks this year, like we had last year, where we have our non-enforcement engagement with the community. We're going to have our hotspot strategy. We are already prepared to execute the focused summer enforcement strategy like we did last year. And again, it is in the 8th and the 9th precinct, sections in the 8th and the 9th precinct. And we will be there between Memorial Day and Labor Day, enforcing the gun laws, enforcing other violent crime, violation of other violent crime laws. But we're also going to be engaging in those strong communities to help improve the quality of life and collaborate with the community relations councils in those units. So our Peaceniks will be July 8th in the 8th precinct, July 15th in the 9th precinct. And so also look for our I Am One Detroit. I Am One Detroit hashtag, our One Detroit partnership. And at some point you're going to be able, we are launching the website soon. You can go to our website at the U.S. Attorney's Office to find not only what we're going to say we're going to do when it comes to enforcement, but it's also going to open the door to you to resources for prevention and intervention and resources for returning citizens. And we're going to ask people to take this pledge. And I'm going to read it now because we have it ready. I know that I have value to myself, to my family, to my friends, and to my community. And because I am important, because my friends and neighbors are important, because I care, and because I believe in the future of our streets, our neighborhoods, and community, I commit to choosing peace over violence. Therefore, I agree to be a leader in my community through my actions. I will partner with those committed to improving the quality of life of all Detroiters. I will seek to find peaceful solutions to problems. I promise not to use a gun and to actively encourage others not to use a gun. I make this pledge because I believe that everyone deserves to live in a community free of violence. And we're talking about Detroit, but everybody knows I am the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan. I am responsible for 6.5 million people, 34 counties. Detroit is our largest city, and we are often defined by it. But everybody in this district deserves to be able to come down here and enjoy what Detroit has to offer without being subjected to senseless violence. And we're going to make sure people have an opportunity to enjoy this great city. So make the right choice. And with that, I think we're done. We'll open it up for questions. Okay.
Sarah Hawtrey News. I believe Councilwoman Mary Waters had a initiative that she's hoping to have safe, like gun-free zones of Detroit's hotspots, like the Riverfront, Art Plaza. Is that something we're considering as part of this?
This is not part of our strategy. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about some of the results that you say you've seen in some of the other cities where this has already kind of started?
Yeah, let me get my notes. I knew you were going to ask that question. One second. Thanks to this remarkable team, I would like to introduce my team while we're standing up here, actually, because, you know, we believe here in the U.S. Attorney's Office we are one team, and these people up here now who don't necessarily work here are part of this one team philosophy. But I have to give some acknowledgement of the folks who help this office carry out these strategies and more. And so I'm going to start with our Deputy Chief of the Violent and Organized Crime Unit. Introduce yourself, Tara.
Tara Waga.
Okay. Brandy.
Brandy McMillian, Chief General Crimes.
Terrence Hagebuck, Assistant U.S. Attorney in the Violent Crimes Unit.
Latrell Livingston, Executive Assistant United States Attorney.
And then, sir.
Ruben Coleman, FBI. Keith Krolczyk, I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge of ATF.
Go ahead.
Beverly Smith, Assistant Deputy Director, Michigan Department of Corrections.
Orville Green, Special Agent in Charge, DEA Detroit.
Dan Hurley, Chief of the Criminal Division, the U.S. Attorney's Office.
David Cowan, Assistant United States Attorney with the Violent and Organized Crime Unit.
Barbara Lanning, Assistant United States Attorney with the Violent.
So I've said many times before that our enforcement strategy is focusing on the most violent offenders, the most violent groups in the most violent places, and we will continue to do that under this strategy, and we have done it and seen significant results. For example, in the city of Jackson, for example, we removed a violent gang in that area, and they have had a 53% reduction in non-fatal shootings and a 43% reduction in homicides between 2021 and 2002. Pontiac, for example, 70% reduction in non-fatal shootings. Flint, a 42% reduction in non-fatal shootings and a 38% reduction in homicides. Saginaw, a 57% reduction in non-fatal shootings. And so those, of course, are smaller cities, smaller communities. Detroit is larger. It's going to take more work, but we are seeing significant results in Detroit as well. It's going to take more time. And we hope at the end of this partnership that we will be able to call out numbers like that for Detroit, because that is our goal, those numbers and higher percentage reductions. Yes, sir.
John Hewitt from WWJ. I had two quick questions, if I may. Following up on the talk of gun-free zones, can you give us a little more context, appreciating you're talking prevention here and collaboration? Is it a matter of difficulty to enforce? Is it a matter of a lack of practicality? Has it been discussed? Has it been determined not to be an option that's desired? I'd love a little more.
You know, I don't get into the legislative stuff. I'm going to let the mayor handle that, okay?
So we are governed by state law, and state law only permits gun-free zones in very defined places, churches, schools, and a number of others. So the city doesn't have a right to create a gun-free zone that is contrary to state law. However, There's nothing that says we have to let illegal weapons into any particular area. And so I think you will see the city come out with plans for screening to keep illegal weapons out. And when we do have a plan, it will be fully compliant with state law. But as the U.S. Attorney said, that's not been part of this discussion, something the Chief will be talking about in the coming weeks.
Thank you. And if I may, Chief, I'd be interested in asking if there any
Chief or Mayor?
Chief West.
Oh, okay.
Is there any context you can provide about the age of offenders you're seeing? And I know this is stuff we've all talked about in news briefings before, but is this a situation where we have teenage, young adult offenders and roles of families and parent supervision in all of this may be lacking, or what context you can provide in regard to what you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum with some of the upticks we're seeing with violent crime in youth. We do have a significant uptick this year with youth engaging in gun activity. We've talked about that we've had 18 kids this year already that have either been the victim of gun violence or have accidentally shot themselves, and we've had a significant increase in the number of CCW arrests involving youth. But you know, it's ebbs and flows with it, but the youth numbers are significantly up from last year.
I just want to add to that is that we don't have to look to Detroit to know that young people are engaging in violence at earlier ages, much earlier ages. And that's why part of this partnership, this strategy, is prevention, to try to reach them before they make those life choices. And that's why we're going to be doing a lot of programming for schools and peer listening sessions for young adults so that we can try to see what the issues are and address them to the best of our ability, or turn them over to the subject matter experts that can. So we are looking forward to that engagement as well. Yes.
Just a quick question. How is the partnership measuring its success? Are you all just tracking nonviolent shootings and homicides, or what else will you be tracking in terms of like how successful this partnership is?
Yep, thank you for the question. As I mentioned, one of our partners is the Michigan State University School of Criminal Justice, and we will not only be tracking our crime statistics and our data, but we will also be looking at the impact of the affected neighborhoods and also collaborating to see whether or not the communities have a perception of legitimacy and trust, because we know up here that we have a big responsibility to build trust in the community. And that's why we are going to be transparent about our work. And that's why we're telling you now what we're going to do. We're going to be transparent about our work, and we're not going to mince our words about what we plan to do. But this opportunity is about choices. And so we are going to make sure that we can come back and give you the results of our work. And we're also measuring it in those ways that I described. Yes. Anybody else? Yes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ariel Castle Plains. This is probably a question for the mayor too.
Okay.
There was talk yesterday about closing some streets in Greektown, and I'm curious about whether that's something that is on the table.
Yeah, we're looking at a number of things, and again, this is going to come back to the question of illegal weapons-free zones. As Detroiters know, for the last year since we acquired the Evolved metal detectors, we create illegal weapons-free zones all the time. We do them at high school football and basketball games. We do them at block parties where the Detroit police come out, set up the Evolved metal detectors, and everybody who comes through is screened. If you have a valid CCW permit, you're entitled to continue on. We are looking to expand the strategy of where we have illegal weapons-free zones. It will involve more of the Evolved metal detectors. It will involve control entry points, and the locations where those get rolled out, the chief will be talking about in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But we are creating those illegal weapons-free zones on weekends in neighborhoods, and have been for the last year. We may end up creating some permanent zones. I don't know if the chief wants to say anything more. He wants to stick with that.
I think that's it.
And then I have another one too.
For the mayor?
For you.
Okay.
The press release that you all put out said that this has been going on for a decade. I'm curious about what is different for this version of One Detroit than what you all have been doing for the past 10 years.
I knew you would ask that question. So it used to be called Detroit One, right? And so we changed it to One Detroit. And what's different is exactly what we said. We have different voices at the table, new partnerships, subject matter areas in prevention and intervention and reentry that we have combined and collected together with our enforcement efforts. So that's the difference, that we are just not focusing on enforcement, but that we are also focusing on the partnership and the pillars of reentry and prevention and intervention. That's the difference.
Can you go into any more detail about what specific actions you're planning on taking that haven't been taken in the past? The 5th grade program sounds like it's new. What else is new?
Well, we have the subject matter experts, and we will be putting all that on our website about the strategies under each pillar that we plan to do. So you'll be able to go there and take the pledge, and then you'll just open the door to all that we're going to offer under this One Detroit partnership.
Do you have any details yet about what that is?
We are not prepared to announce details other than some of the things I've already said. We have our summer enforcement strategy. We're having the Peaceniks on July 8th and the 5th. We're having that enforcement in those hotspot areas. That is all part of this strategy. In addition to that, we have that our enforcement folks, when they come across a scene that might require or a family might benefit from the services of Black Family Development, they're a phone call away, and they are going to be committed to reaching out to them so that we can kind of service the family. This is a holistic approach to this violent crime reduction, and so that is the difference, is that the connections, the partnership, and the collaboration is so tangible that we don't have to say, well, I'll call somebody for you. I'll see what I can do. They're going to be on the horn right there, and they're going to be able to come to those scenes and address it immediately.
And I do have another one for the mayor and the chief.
This is it for you. No, I'm just kidding.
Can you update us on ShotStopper and where things stand with that?
If you want to invite the deputy mayor to come up, he can.
Come on up, Deputy Mayor. Let me introduce him, because this is Deputy Mayor Bettison, who was just such an instrumental partner for us, especially with our Peaceniks last year. I hope that all of you come out to our Peaceniks this year. He was just incredible. He continues to be a valued partner. He is committed to this effort. He's a former police officer and has already committed his life to protecting and serving, and so he continues it today as the Deputy Mayor, and we couldn't be more proud for this continued partnership with him. So Deputy Mayor Bettison.
Thank you, and I'm so glad that you asked the question. So ShotStoppers, of course, is a community violence intervention interruption program. We have $10 million of ARPA money committed to that for various groups. We've received 25 applications at this point, so we're in the evaluation phase of that, and we expect that awards will be made or notifications will be made at some point in June, and that money will go out to the various groups that are successfully awarded. Of course, it'll have to go, contracts will go before our city council, and that we expect them to start ramping up in July, and that August 1st will be when the measurement period actually starts. And so we're very excited. The mayor talked about it in the state of the city, and we have a lot of interest, and we believe that it's truly going to make a difference.
Do you have a sense as to, of those 25, how many are likely to be able to come?
Anywhere between 4 and 5.
Okay.
All righty.
Can you give us any details yet about the proposals?
No, I can't.
Prosecutor, can you get an idea of what the enforcement looks like these days? We're hearing a lot of children being shot in drive-by shootings. What does that enforcement look like when we do catch these perpetrators?
Well, I can tell you that our child abuse cases, and it does fall under the auspices of child abuse, are way up. Prosecutors are carrying about 50 apiece because of the number of warrants we're getting from all across the county, not just Detroit. One crucial aspect is that we have been involved for the last 7 or 8 years with Child Safety Access, and screaming about that to whoever will listen. We've lost probably 54 children, either to being seriously injured or killed because the lawful gun owner in the home did not safely store that weapon. Since 2016, so the last 6 years. And so I'm happy to say that the governor just signed an aspect of that bill. I am glad that's happened. Unfortunately, I am told that that doesn't go into effect until 2025. So between then and now, I'm afraid that we're going to lose more children, but at least we do have some teeth. We have a legislature and a governor that's taking it seriously, because again, this has been a long, hard-fought battle just to get people to safely store their guns and take accountability for it. So that's one huge aspect. I'm hoping to see the death and injuries of children go down significantly when that goes into effect. So that's just one aspect.
I just wanted to add to your question about some of the details about the strategy. And I forget sometimes that we've been, enforcing or executing these strategies for over the last year. And part of those strategies is that we have federal prosecutors in 5 Detroit precincts in the city of Detroit, as well as our federal, state, and local partners, ATF, DEA, FBI there, and they are triaging cases so that we can identify with the evidence, data, who are the worst offenders in our community so that we can focus our attention and our law enforcement efforts on that. And that's been going on, and we've had excellent results as a result, and that's some of the results. Based on some of those results, based on some of that collaboration, that's how we have been able to achieve results in some of those smaller cities, and we've achieved significant results, quite frankly, in Detroit. We just got a bigger space to work with, and we will not stop. But I'm going to call up Chief White to talk a little bit about some of the other things that we use to identify some of our most violent offenders.
Just very briefly, one of the most impactful tools that we have is NIBIN. I had a meeting last week with the ATF that we had together, and we were talking through, we have one of the most effective in the country NIBIN operations, and that's the National Ballistics. And basically, in a nutshell, what that is someone uses a gun in our city, we're collecting evidence and we're running it through NIBIN, and we're able to link those weapons to other crimes. And I cannot tell you how effective it's been. They talked about some new technology that's coming forward very soon that has to do with DNA evidence, and they want to select us as one of the major cities to roll it out in, so we're super excited about that. Hopefully don't have to use it, but we know that's not a realistic expectation. But knowing how effective our NIBIN unit is, how we layered that with our Shot Spotter operation, very happy that we have expanded Shot Spotter citywide now. We are a little bit ahead of schedule with that. As you know, our council and our community wanted this. Our council selected it, and our mayor allowed us to have some funding to pay for it. So this is a tool that we're using daily, and we're seeing some behavioral changes, as the U.S. Attorney talked about. It's about choices, and so we are able to now look at some communities where you see a shift. Is it where we want it to be yet? Not yet, but we're able to get there, recover that evidence. We're getting search warrants up. We're doing this constitutionally. Someone's firing a gun in our community, a condition that should never, ever be acceptable anywhere in the city of Detroit. Even if a police officer is firing a gun, we all should know where a weapon is being fired in our community and at what time. And we're able to get there and do some layered approach and bring this operation into that area if we know we've got groups or gangs or people who are victimizing our community.
That NIBIN stands for National Integrated Ballistics Identification Network. Cheat sheet. Right. We use so many acronyms and things in our line of work. But on that same note about responsible gun ownership, I want straw purchasers to beware. I would be remiss if I didn't say that. If you recklessly purchase a gun for someone who is prohibited and that person does something with that gun, we are going to charge you. We're going to charge you. We're going to charge you. So if you care about your own life, this is about choices. If you care about your own life, regardless of whether you didn't know they were going to do that or not, if you purchase it for somebody, that's the problem. You don't know what somebody might do with something with a dangerous weapon. You will be charged. And are there any other questions?
Two quick questions. One is, you mentioned the website will be launching soon. Do you know approximately when?
Don't hold this against me. I thought it was going to be today, so it's going to be soon. No, we are still building it, and it's going to be ongoing. We're going to have upcoming events on it, and the federal government, sometimes it takes us a little time to get our tweaks, and so we're trying to work through some technical difficulties with it right now, but it's going to start with that pledge, and after that pledge, literally you're going to have to take the pledge, and then it'll just open up this door of opportunities, and opportunities to make choices, and opportunities to know what the consequences of your choices are, but also what you can gain by making a different choice.
And then, you mentioned that this initiative is meant to not just obviously reduce violent crime, but also be a program where it's not just increasing arrests and increasing cases. Are there any checks and balances to ensure that it's not moving towards that direction where we're just arresting more people and losing sight of that holistic approach?
No, this partnership is about reducing violent crime. You said it's not about reducing. It is about reducing violent crime.
I just meant it's not about just increasing arrests.
It's about focused enforcement. It's focused. It's not about just arresting anyone, but arresting our most violent offenders, our most violent groups in our most violent places, the drivers of violence. That's the focus of this enforcement.
I guess I was just wondering, like, just in, just how are, just wanting to not lose sight of that, like how, sorry, that question was worded.
Because we're going to be focused, we don't need to worry about what else we're not doing, because we're trying to focus on the right folks. So I think I'm trying to understand your question, but we're trying to focus on the right folks, and we'll be able to make those cases in court why we focused on these individuals based on the strategies that the chief mentioned and other investigative tools that we use, and the data. We're using the data. We're not just broadly going out and arresting folks. We're using data to identify the right folks. And so that's how we're going to make sure that it's a focused enforcement. Thank you. Yes.
How do you measure success and over what time period?
Now, if I say one more time that Michigan State University is going to be measuring our success.
What exactly?
And this is why I said this is not just one Detroit. This is one EDMI, one Eastern District of Michigan. And so our plan is actually a 5-year plan. We plan to have a summit. We plan to have about violent trends. And so we're continuing. We are tracking our numbers and our success as we go. So will we report out in a year? Yes. It might be that we're reporting out sooner than that in quarterly. So we're still developing that to see where we go. But we are definitely focused on tracking our success, because.
But is there a certain reduction of X and Y that you're looking for? Do you have specific numbers that you're trying to target? What constitutes success?
We want people to stop using guns. Stop using guns. That's all. We want people to stop using guns. It's simple. It's simple. Stop using guns. Stop using guns to solve conflicts. Stop using guns, period. Stop using guns. That's it. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for your interest. We are hoping that you will also take the pledge and be a responsible community.